Hey Ryan, welcome again. It's been nice chatting with you for the last few weeks. I'm learning a lot of things from you. Let's start. Welcome to our webinar. We are doing it for our Facebook group users. Can I get an introduction from you?
Yeah, so super quick backdrop on me. I've always grown up on the revenue side of the house in terms of like what I've done, but I've always worked strategically with really large or even mid-size B2B organizations and help navigate complex decision making and really fine to that, which has been foundational for some of the stuff that I'm doing right now. So I'm the founder and CEO of Whale Boss. I also have a podcast called The Scale Up Show, where I interview SaaS CEOs. And then on top of it, too, I do consulting on how to grow revenue based on the principles I use to grow from 0 to 30 million in 5.5 years with only 4 salespeople. And then something I'm really passionate about right now, like we've talked about, is how to leverage AI to grow revenue. So that's kind of where I'm at. Super quick backdrop on me. So I hope
Sure. Thank you. So, as you know, that our forum has about 22,000 members. A lot of people are joining to start some SaaS business using OpenAI platform. And I see a lot of interesting product. A lot of people are coming up with ideas and they are trying to implement. But what I'm noticing that a lot of people are having problem with traction. They probably don't have any idea like how to create traction, or they don't have a playbook. And when I read your material, and the reason I invited you to share with our team, forum members, that what is the SaaS playbook? If they are starting, whether they have experience, and especially AI is changing the game, right? So let's talk about that.
Yeah, so I think in order for traction, and there's a lot of ways, because I've experienced this where I've worked for organizations and we've had like 0 clients in an area and had to develop a market from scratch. I've had to move up market for a company that had existing customers. And I've had like positions where I've 100% cold called, and I've led and been a partner in organizations and moved up the ranks. So like I have a pretty wide range of experience. And so here's what I would say. The reason why I was giving you context on that was just because of the fact that it'll help give you some contextualization of what I'm doing. At the same time, like on my podcast, I have the founders systematically break apart their go-to-market approach, which is insightful. And then I consult with founders on how to do that too. So I think like the number one thing is like, there's such a rapid iteration because of how easy it is to make these products now. I think I saw a stat that was like, there's a new product created like once every month in a certain area, specifically with AI. Now it's like once every day when she comes out, right? And I'm sure I'm messing that up a little bit, but it just gives you context about the acceleration and speed. And so if you're doing that, like the most important things are, it's not going to be, you can't just slap something together and, try and get some users. And yeah, it might work short term, but then you're going to get swallowed whole. At least that's my view of it, right? So I think like the most important thing for that is to truly attack it from a perspective of like, what's a tangible outcome that I'm going to create for a really big problem? And then how do I garner enough attention from the audience that I want to really satisfy that, right? And so that's what I think is the core. I'd say attention and like real problem that you could attach a measurable ROI to.
That's great. So, I mean, let's start from the beginning. I think one problem I see that niching down, right? 90% of the product I see posted by people, whether it's on Product Hunt and other people, is too generic. I go to OpenAI. I mean, we are specifically talking about ChatGPT OpenAI based product, and they're like common, right? Either they are doing copywriting, which is copy.ai, and the big fish is out there. They're going to swallow them, just like you said. They're not going to get traction. So, what is your message to them that where do they start? I mean, targeting niching down, you talk to me all the time about it. What is your message to those people that, hey, what is niching down and why they need to do it?
Yeah, so there's a couple ways you can kind of approach this. And I think and it was really interesting because I had a founder on my show who grew his company to about 100 million. And, one of the things that he called out, or maybe it was 50 million ARR, one of the things that he called out, and I've realized this myself, is like, there's 2 kinds of opportunities. And one is like, if you have extensive domain expertise in a different area, like a certain area, like for example, with me, like I've lived, breathed everything with sales over the last 20 plus years. So like somebody could go and try and replicate the prompts that I create, and they might be able to do that to an extent. But unless they have this systematic approach and the experience, it's hard to generate the same quality. So if you have a massive level of experience in a certain domain, I would say focus on that, right? That's one opportunity. Or the other is if you already have a large group of existing clients, look at where the patterns and outliers are of what industries and verticals they're in, size of companies, get super specific, and then try and solve the next problem they have that, you know, as a result of the problem that you're solving in the first place. Because every time you solve a problem for a customer, usually 8 ones pop up. And so those would be two really simple, just core business logic ways in which you can create a product that could do really well.
Thank you. The next step is like a lot of founder, they're pretty good at developing product, right? And what I have noticed that they don't have any strategy for sales and marketing. And this can be very damaging because they build very complicated software, but they do not test with the user. They don't have even any outreach program. What is your message to them, and what are your 1, 2, 3 formula for those founder who has limited budget maybe, and they're trying to build a product? How do they get traction through different ways?
So you're gonna love this. So if you're not following me or seeing my content on LinkedIn, check it out. There's a post last Thursday that I released where basically I instructed ChatGPT to act like the president and CEO of Y Combinator and had him stack rank all the different go-to-market strategies, like how to approach it. Also looked at what founders would do better in different go-to-market strategies, and then like how to kind of approach it. So I would recommend that because it was really, I mean, I was blown away when I was working on it. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing, right? Because it gets down to the personality type, the strengths, the go-to-market motion, all of those areas. And then once you see where your product lines, and I'll give you a couple examples too. It's not just going to bait you into going to see the post, but essentially what it is like it broke down, like, for example, the top 2 because I said, what are the top go-to-market strategies you can implement? Number 1 was a freemium model. Number 2 was a direct sales model. And those were ranked in terms of the most successful of companies that became unicorns and highly successful, right? But like those 2 go-to-market motions are massively different. The first one, you have to have expertise and experience, some background in product, but also in like marketing and content.
Sorry.
That's all right, man. It's like you got someone trying to call you, which is okay. So anyways, and then on the direct sales one, like the personality structure is completely different and it's got to be a lot more aggressive outbound approach. So anyways, I would say look at that post, but then also be really understanding of like the dollar point and the solution that you're creating. Start with the go-to-market and then formulate the marketing and sales plan around that.
Definitely. That's great. And I think other areas where there are 2 person came to me, they have both sales plan and marketing plan, and they build the product and they get some traction. But when I was going on call with them, I see they're not consistent. They're just within 30 days, they're expecting. They thought that ChatGPT is giving everything. So, what is your perspective? Like, just because ChatGPT came in and AI came in, do you see the excitement, like, is there for consumer side of it? Like my message to these 2 founders that, you have to be a little patient, right? You cannot just expect everything will come to your plate. You have to work hard, maybe 3 months, 6 months, and see whether you are continuously solve problem. And other areas where I see that some people are thinking that 100 people I send email, 90 will accept it. They'll probably get another 9,000 product, just like 15,000 product came out on different directory on ChatGPT and OpenAI. So I want to give us a little perspective on that from your experience, that just because ChatGPT came in does not mean that everything will be done easily.
Yeah, well, you bring up a great point, and it's like it's a combo, right? Because like ChatGPT is essentially free, right? Like, or you pay $20 a month, which is like nothing. So anybody has access to it, which is good. and bad, right? In some cases. So it's not like, even though it feels like you've discovered fire, everybody else has that democratized capability as well. So if you're going to create something for your product, it can't just be like, oh, I throw it out there and it's done. It's got to be like a constant iteration till you get to the point where it's so good that it it blows up, right? Or you decide like, hey, this really isn't what I want to do. Like for example, I made a commitment to myself. This was what, in the end of last year. Like my content I thought was just okay, in terms of LinkedIn, and I put it on there. I was consistent, but I didn't focus on the quality like super deep. And then I made that a priority. And then I think I 10x'd like the reach in my content in a few months because of that. And so like, I think you apply the same principles to your product, because due to the fact there's going to be so much more stuff out there, in order to cut through the noise, your product has to be really good.
Yeah, definitely. And this is another question came to my mind. I was chatting with you about, HubSpot CEO's product came out, right? A few months back. And every time I log in, I see a new problem he's solving, right? And this is one area I think from my perspective that the product which is coming out, I don't see that innovators are innovating enough to solve people's problem. A problem for ChatGPT was like ChatGPT already has some log feature, right? So if you build a product like that, there are people don't need you; they can just go to ChatGPT, but you have to give it to them new things. How much importance people should give it to the new feature right now, because the way things are moving very fast, just like you said it.
Like how much attention should they pay to the
The
new feature?
attention to the quality and the new features. How do you
Yeah.
keep a balance? Because there are a lot of new things can be done nowadays, and since the development can be faster, product landing page can be faster.
Yeah, so I think like, and I was thinking about this morning actually before work, before getting ready. And one of the things I was like, it's almost like there's so many options and so many choices out there that like you almost got to pick a lane and become a master at that. And and so what I mean is like, instead of trying to be a master of every new AI technology that comes out there, look at it broader from like an industry perspective. Like there's Auto GPT, there's Bard, there's ChatGPT, there's Midjourney, there's all sorts of different even modalities, right? And
Mhm.
video with Runway that you could leverage. And so it's like you almost got to pick your lane. Are you gonna? And there's ways where you could cross expand into other areas, but I think that's the most critical thing is picking one lane, mastering it, and then expanding from there. But mastering on one lane instead of trying to do a cover all first, because otherwise you're just gonna be kind of watered down.
Thank you, Ryan. What is the best way to contact you? And is there any other message for them to, what can they get from you if they want to consult with you for any, reason they want to build their company or SaaS?
Yeah, I mean, what I would say is, for me, the best way to contact me is, I think through my email, which is ryan@whalesellingsystem.com. You can connect with me there. If you want to check out some of my content, what I'm doing, just hop on LinkedIn, which is just my name, Ryan Staley, on there, and you'll see the content. You'll see kind of what I'm doing and what I'm about. I got some exciting things that are coming up that I'm excited to share. And those are probably the best two ways to contact me.
Thank you, Ryan. Thanks for your time, man.
All right, thanks a lot, man. It was great being on the show.